and welcome to another episode of Live Charting, the show where you pick the tickers and we chart them out for you. I'm your host, Jason Kretzky, and we are very fortunate this evening to be joined by a new guest to the show, Mr. Fortune Options. Fortune, my man, how are you doing this evening?
Great. Very tiring day, but hanging in there and doing just great. So ready to get
Awesome.
the show on the road here.
Awesome, man. Well, we're so stoked to have you. Before we get started, I'd love to take a second to, give you the floor and just kind of tell people about yourself. How did you
Yep.
get into trading, and maybe tell us a little bit about your trading style.
Yeah, sure. So a buddy, I've been following for a while, and one of my friends got me into trading, I'd say about 5 or 6 years ago. And again, I could show you proof if that's needed. But I basically opened up a brokerage account 5 years ago. Pretty much same story, I guess, with a lot of new traders. Wasn't taking it seriously at first. Blew up a couple accounts and then started taking things seriously. My strategy is scalping and day trading. I pretty much just trade price. I don't use indicators, and that's that. I run a community as well on Discord, so um, through 9:30 to 4, I'm live just talking to other traders about price action all day.
Awesome. That's really exciting. I myself am really interested in price action trading as well. So this is going to be a great conversation. Since you're on the chart, let's talk about the SPY. There's lots of talk. Is the bear market over? There's lots of bulls, or there's lots of bears saying we're at the top. This thing's gonna dump any second. They're gonna pull the rug on us. What are your thoughts on the major indices, specifically the SPY here?
Yeah, so I guess we'll start with the higher time frames and then move to the lower, if
Yeah,
that's
that'd be
fine.
great.
All right, so basically, I did my homework here. I got prepared for this, so we'll hop into this now. Once my chart loads up here. Excuse my Wi-Fi, guys, too. I did just come out of a storm, as I did mention earlier, but yeah, it's a little laggy right now.
That's all
Um,
right. We'll get it going here.
let's just hit
So
the
what are you
refresh.
thinking while it's loading? What are you thinking about things? Like, where is your head at? Are we coming into some really critical areas of resistance,
Yes,
or yeah.
yes, I would say so. Mainly watching just from our previous downtrend, the zero point 0.5 and 0.618 fib to see if price can get up there and see how price reacts. You do have some imbalance on the daily above as well. So mainly seeing if price can kind of reach up there. There obviously is going to be, important economic events. You got CPI as well. So, there's a lot of things. You got company earnings. I think for the most part, they've been okay. Some of them have obviously been missing. Actually, I don't know, maybe a good majority of them have been. I haven't really been paying attention, so can't really speak on it too much. But what I have seen with some, definitely some forward guidance and forward outlook, which is always a good thing. But yeah, I still think we're, stuck in a bear market. We are, coming off a rally. So I do think there's some resistance ahead. Yeah, definitely.
Do you think that the bottom is in?
No, I don't.
No, you think we're going lower eventually?
Yeah, I do.
Interesting. So well, looks like your chart's having a little bit of
Yeah,
trouble loading
I'm
up here.
not sure what's going on here. I literally just had it up.
If it continues having trouble, we can always flip things here. Sorry, everybody that's viewing, for the technical issues, but we can always flip things, and I can chart DJ for you if you'd
Yeah,
like.
I can
If
refresh
it,
this if it
if for
if it
some reason we can't get this thing up and running,
let me just see. I think all I had to do was refresh there. Yep.
there we go. All right, tight, awesome.
Alrighty. So again, so I trade pretty much price action, and then there's supply and demand. So basically, supply and demand is what is going to move the market. And by finding supply and demand, you're looking for a strong move up or down, and then you're going to find where the origin of the move came from. I'm pretty much for demand looking at a drop based rally, and then supply a rally based drop. And then an example of like drawing a zone. You'd be using your distal and proximal lines. Your proximal line is going to be the start of zero zone, and then the distal line is going to be the bottom. So the distal line is usually where I'll have my stop if I'm playing demand. So like down here, for instance, for the monthly chart, I'd have my stop down here, and then obviously, try to catch an upside move. And then obviously my entry is going to be somewhere in here, right? But yeah, starting off with a monthly view here, just marking some crucial supply and demand here. So again, that's why I don't think we're, out of the woods just yet. And I do think, a new low is going to be put in. But we are running into some crucial supply ahead. So we do kind of need to watch that. We did just bounce from monthly demand though, which is always, a good thing to see. I obviously don't want the market to make a new low. That's going to suck. But ultimately, like I said, I don't think we're out of the woods just yet. But yeah, we did bounce at monthly demand, so that's a good thing. But ahead, we do have that monthly resistance, so and that monthly supply in there.
And how are you getting those areas? How are you calculating those areas?
Well, calculating, I would just put like a horizontal array or something just to get the most accurate price. But pretty much like I explained earlier, you're looking for for demand a drop based rally or supply a rally based drop. So again, on the monthly, it's kind of hard to illustrate that, but I can do that better on like the daily or a smaller time frame or lower time frame that is. But I'm using the distal and proximal line. So here's like an example. I'll go start up here with supply. So here would be your proximal line right at the start of that candle, and then your distal at the high of it. And then that's how I'm drawing my supply. And then for demand, the start of it here, and then the low of it here.
So like just really important swing highs and lows, essentially, like big pivot areas.
Yeah, in a sense. I mean, you can look at supply and demand too. I know some people like to just look at it as like an order block or something in that area. But yeah, just areas where there might pop up with demand in the market, and then obviously on the other hand, supply where price can get pushed back down, and then at demand, bounce.
Right. So you want to, before we get into the individual names, do you want to kind of talk us through how you're looking at charts day to day, maybe using a small time frame here on SPY?
Yeah, I can do that too as well. Do you want me to go into like I have stuff for like each view?
Sure.
If
I
you
mean,
like.
whatever you want, man. It's up to you.
Yeah. So we can go into the weekly view too. Yeah, my bad. I'll just like zoom in here like this. Is that good? But okay.
Yeah. Click on the what you just clicked on to zoom it in. The little crosshairs there on the right. Yep. Click on the sidebar button.
All right, over here.
The button that says sidebar at the top, next to the left of your name.
Oh yeah,
Right
sorry.
there, and then just turn it off.
My bad. Yeah. All right.
There you
I'm
go.
seeing it now. It's just like a
All
foreign
good.
language. But yeah, so again, I just kind of drew out the supply and demand zones too on the weekly. And also the 0.5 and 0.618. So just taking it from the retracement, right? So your
Okay.
high and your low.
Got it.
So that's where I'm saying, prices could get a little interesting if it can push above the supply area in here and ultimately reach into here. We do have some imbalance above as well, just above the 0.618. So that's why I said I think it's going to get very interesting if price can get into this, ultimately the 420 range through about, I'd say, 440-ish. But yeah, ultimately trying to see how price is going to react if we can push up to that 420 range to 440. So, but yeah, I have my weekly supply demand areas in here, illustrating the demand down here. So, your rally, your base, and then your rally, price bounces from here.
Right.
That's where your demand is holding up. And then we're right now testing some supply here. Again, you can just, come in here with the horizontal line and mark them up. Demand down here as well. So that's why I think, if another leg, if we really got pushed down in terms of hitting a supply and rejecting hard, or, maybe some other bad economic news, that price, could eventually test this zone again. So after a zone's tested, it's typically going to become weaker because orders are getting filled in there.
Right.
So, If it becomes weaker, ultimately I'd be looking for price to come back down in this range, and that would be kind of that 330 area. Sorry, not 430, 330.
Got
But
it.
yeah, that's the weekly frame. I think I have daily frame illustrated. Yeah, so daily frame. I got a little cool channel if you guys want to look at as well. Looks like they have broken out of that as well. So this is just a small parallel channel. It's called price channel, whatever you want to call it. So we're pushing out of it right now. Again, have daily supply levels in there. Forgot to put the demand in there, but if we do have the daily supply areas in there, and then also some imbalance. So that's where I'm talking about with the imbalance just above here, all the way running up to about 443-ish, 444. But yeah, that's the daily illustrated. So breaking out, and kind of just stuck in a range. So it looks like it's like the same price action, honestly, from the last like couple weeks. So when we had our first like CPI release in here, or well, not the first one, but the last one, I should say. But when we had our last release in here, we just chopped around for like two weeks in there. And I'm honestly kind of getting the same thing here. So if we're not going to break out of and clear 417, I mean, it's likely that we're going to chop in a range here until that CPI is released on the 10th.
Mm.
That's my thesis there. We've been trading in a range pretty much all week, anyways. So if we can't break that 417 or break down, from this lower area of the 407s, it's likely we're just going to chop around. But yeah, there's the daily illustrated. Let's go here. I think I have, let me see, I don't have the 4, but I do have either the 2. Yeah, so 2, just, simple trend lines here on the 2, just an illustration if you guys want to look at it as well. Just a simple pattern here. Again, I'm looking for all different types of patterns in the market and trends. This is just a simple one illustrated on the 2-hour frame though, if you guys want to look at that. Pretty much, where we kind of bottomed out and, where we're heading right now, looking like we have some resistance at this trend line, right? So, not able to really clear above it. And then we're bouncing at the bottom one. Typically for a trend line, I'm looking for price for the bottom of the trend to bounce, more than once. And then for the top of the trend, reject it more than once, right? To see that there's, a trend line with confluence and prices respecting it. On the 1 hour, I think I have another view here. If I'm talking, way too quick or going too fast for you guys, just let Jason know, I guess.
Oh man, you're doing it. This is awesome. This is a
Yeah,
great breakdown.
on the 1 hour, I also do have another price channel. So if you guys want to look at this as well, we do have some gaps in here to the downside that have not been filled either. Do have some demand here. So you guys can see, right? You have your rally, your base, and then the rally. So you're looking for where price is kind of basing out at, and here's where that demand is sitting, right in here, and then supply, right? So you have your rally, base, and then drop. So where did the origin of that move come from? It came right from that base sitting here, and that was the origin of that, huge move down. So we're, not able to break above it, and you can see, I mean, price is pinpoint, it's right at it, rejecting
Yeah, it
it.
sure is.
I know this looks kind of wacky, but this is just how I'm looking at it right now. I'm more of an intraday trader, so I can illustrate obviously the higher time frames, but this is just something simple I got drawn up for you guys just to illustrate, I guess, where we're at in between two crucial areas.
Right on, man. Well, so let's do this. Let's do this. Let's get into the voting. This is an awesome breakdown on SPY, and this gives us a good base for like kind of how you see things. And now let's get into the individual names. Is that cool?
Is there any chance I could go over the 5-minute real quick?
Yeah. Do it. Go ahead.
I'll keep it quick. But yeah, like I said, guys, I like to day trade and scalp. So I know this is going to look crazy to some, but this is price action, right? I don't use indicators. Yeah, I mean, if you want to call, using Fibonacci levels or other things, some indicators, but I just, truly trade price, and that's that. So let's kind of scrunch this together here and maybe zoom in a little. So here's your open. So blue line open, blue line close. So drop off in the morning. Again, I'm using a fair value gap. So if you guys are unfamiliar with what a fair value gap is, it's a useful concept in price action trading. And it pretty much provides a trader with information regarding where an imbalance or inefficiency is in the market. And then these areas can be, pretty much a magnet for price in the future to pretty much come down to that imbalance or come up to that imbalance and fill it. So that's what FVG means, fair value gap. OB is order block. So an order block is where, typically a collection of orders are still sitting that need to be filled. And then price is typically, going to come down to those order blocks or come up to those order blocks and fill those orders. So it could be, supply and demand if you look at it a different way. BSL and then SSL, so buy side, sell side liquidity. And then just pretty much a simple trend line with higher lows today. But some pretty nice trades you could have taken in here today based off of price action. So if you look, in the morning, we drop off. We do have an imbalance here with the fair value gap. I like to line up the 0.5 and 0.618 to look for a premium or discount if I'm going to go short in here. So I know that price, has to come back and fill that imbalance. Comes in, take a short right off the rip of it. You create an order block right there. Come back down, you create another order block, price retraces into it. Again, not able to close above it, clearly being respected and rejecting off of it. But when we came down here, made an order block. So ultimately, we've been holding this trend line all day and price came down into it and, filled orders and just kept bouncing. But ultimately, if you were going short today, this order block was perfect. You guys can see illustrated that pretty much every time price ran into here, it struggled and came back down. And again, even that 0.5 and 0.618 from the original fair value gap on the 5-minute was holding up very well. So yeah, I mean, that's just my recap for today. I hope that, this chart kind of illustrates some things for you and is easy for you to read. Again, I know it might be some harder metrics to follow, but yeah, I mean, that's that.
No, man, this is awesome. This is awesome. And like I said, this gives us a good basis for kind of how you're going to be going through the charts that get requested here. So we're going to get into that. Before we do, let's talk through the voting. If you are a newcomer to the show, the way the voting works, you get 3 votes per round. You can pick 3 unique tickers. You cannot pick the same ticker 3 times. But one round or one ticker is one round. So you're going to get a lot of opportunities to vote. And yeah, we're just going to jump into it. Also, real quick, while you guys are here, we have a wild deal, but it's only for during this show. 65% off. 65% off. Insane. 2-week free trial. This is only available during this show. A QR code just posted on the screen. If you didn't scan it, here it is again. And if you don't scan it now, we're going to have a link in the chat. So if you are interested in being a TrendSpider user, you're sitting on the sidelines, you're waiting for the right deal, this is the best deal you're going to get. So 65% off with a 2-week free trial, only available until this show is over. So take advantage of it. Let's get into the charts here. The first one is Roblox, RBLX.
That's what we're looking at?
That's what we're looking at.
Oh, Lord. Let's look at Roblox. Let me get this set up here. All right. Roblox it is. So guys, just keeping in mind, I don't I'm not familiar with a lot of these names, so I mostly trade, like I mentioned earlier, SPY and SPX, but I can obviously do my analysis on these, but I just want to point that out.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what's great about it, right? Like looking at names you don't trade.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love to do analysis on pretty much any ticker,
Right.
that I look at, but yeah. Let's start off, I guess, with the higher time frame. So let's go with the weekly first. And maybe point out something. So first, I'm going to be looking for my supply and demand zones, right? Because supply and demand is what ultimately moves the market. So just looking based off of some of those zones, I can already tell there's supply up in here. So I'll just kind of mark these as we go here, but let's see here. Supply up in here on the weekly. Let's see. I'm just looking for other zones in here on the weekly that I can illustrate first. I'll just line them up too, so it looks nice. We do have a lot of supply though above for Roblox. But yeah, starting off with the weekly, we can see, prices following a nice trend here, making those higher lows. So it is in an uptrend. Could be some critical resistance up in here though, around, let's see here. I'm going to mark the zones as well, but just give me a sec while I mark this. Looks like kind of a cup formation as well. Hold on. Let me mark these though. Not that. Hold on. Give me a second. Alrighty. Why does it keep doing that? Hold on one sec. Just giving me a hard time here. Trying to mark it. All right, still doing it. Is there like something I'm doing wrong there?
I'm not sure. What are you trying to do? Just
Put
draw
a
a horizontal line.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's giving me some trouble right there.
It's like it's using the magnet and connecting to the body as opposed to the wick. Looks like, because there's already drawing on the wick. I would just leave it. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can just kind of eye those levels, I guess, for you guys.
No.
But so if you're looking on the weekly time frame for Roblox, it looks like that 53 area has been causing it some problems, right? So price is obviously showing that it can come up to it and it's rejecting off of it. So again, that's causing some problems for Roblox. Right now, it's going to go in and likely test that zone. I mean, if the market's going to be bullish in the next week or two, price can definitely test that zone again. But if you're able to clear the woods there, I mean, and clear that zone on 53, it looks like you also do have a daily imbalance and fair value gap actually sitting right in here as well. So that'll be interesting to see if price can come up into there, but should be a pretty straightforward ride if you can break through that zone and ultimately get through that fair value gap back to 64-ish up here. And then that's where that supply is going to be too. I mean, there's large supply up in here as well. But yeah, you're kind of getting, that cup formation down here. So it does look good in terms of that. It's just that you need to clear that supply above, basically. And if you can't clear that supply above, it could run in. So like we could just do like, I don't know, some line here. If it's just going to run in and kind of just come off of here and maybe just consolidate and then go like that, obviously that's not a good thing. You want to see, price ultimately try to test this zone if you're on the bull side and then, come back down and maybe push like that. But yeah, it is in a strong uptrend on the weekly. You guys can see that with the higher lows illustrated. You can draw this too with another trend line, I guess, up in here. If you're kind of, going to connect some points here, maybe have it drawn like this, right? So yeah, I think that supply in there on the weekly time frame is definitely going to be interesting. But yeah, let's move on, I guess, to the daily, see where we're at there. Looks like I actually already had a little channel there on Roblox. Let's see if I can illustrate this a different way though. I mean, so far, I mean, I do have some, illustrations on some of these names. But this is, a simple channel I had on the daily here, which it just broke out of. But let me see if I can find another sort of trend in here. Hold on. All right, yes, I can. All right, so let me see. I have to fix this up a little bit here, but let's see where I want to draw that out. Our price is going to ultimately respect. I think that looks good for Roblox still on the daily. You got a little nice price channel in there. So again, kind of just respecting, the trend line up here on the top and bouncing closer to the bottom here. Again, though, looks like we did actually just push through some supply there. But yeah, I mean, like I said, ultimately, this 53 range might cause some problems again. You do have a gap above, though, too, that we can illustrate, right? So we have a nice gap here. So, I mean, I haven't looked at Roblox, I guess it's going to report earnings or if it already did. But it does have a nice gap above if it is able to clear that 53 range. And then ultimately, I mean, if you're obviously targeting the gap, I'd, look to play it over 59 and ultimately target that 66 area. But yeah, I mean, that looks like a nice setup if it is able to clear 53. If it's not able to clear 53, you could play it, probably right back to the downside.
What would you look for? I get this question a lot and I ask this question a lot. clearing 53 to get
Mhm.
into a trade here. What do you need to see? Do you need to see like a daily close above 53? Do you just need to see price simply trade above 53? Like
Yeah,
what would
that's correct.
trigger it for you?
So I like to obviously pinpoint my entries on the lower time frame. Like I said, I mean, day trading and scalping. But I mean, if I was to, say come in here and pick up comments on Roblox, what I'd probably be looking for is probably a daily close above that, to be honest, or,
Okay.
just in general, maybe a 4 hour or just price ultimately staying above 53, right? So if price can break above 53, like say if it breaks above it and you're not waiting for like a candle close or I don't know, your sort of confirmation that it can stay above 53, it can ultimately come back down, right? If it's not going to
Right.
hold it. You want to
Mm-hmm.
see that price is going to hold that 53 range and, keep holding it, right? So like say you grab commons at 53, it jumps up to, say 56 and then comes right back down to 53. You want to
Right.
make sure that 56 area is going to hold, or sorry, 53 area is going to hold, or else you're likely going to get stopped out or,
Mm-hmm.
exit your trade. But yeah, I'd wait for probably a daily close there.
Okay.
And I think, yeah, I mean, I think if it ultimately can get above 59, it could, finish that gap fill there.
Got it. Okay. So we're bullish on this thing above 53. Break and hold 53.
Yeah, break and
We
hold
like
50.
it. We like it. Okay, cool. Let's keep on moving. Netflix is the next one.
Netflix, sure. Oh, got that. Netflix. Oh, Netflix. This one's a great one, actually. I think I have illustrated. Yeah, I have actually this one perfectly illustrated for here. Look at that. Keeping it quick here. But so Netflix, where's Netflix at? Looks like Netflix. So I had just had a daily downtrend channel here. Again, on the daily time frame downtrend. You guys know our earnings have caused Netflix some problems there. I'm sure some of you probably made a good amount of money too if you played Netflix to the downside over the past over the past months, that is. But yeah, it looks like Netflix. I mean, that's got a huge gap, right? I'm going to analyze this on the lower time frames too as well. But first, starting off with the daily, it has a huge gap from 249.56 all the way to 333.22. So it's likely, I mean, you're going to see some news. I mean, hopefully some news that would take it up there or another earnings report or something. You're definitely going to, I feel like, need a catalyst to get up there, maybe in one or two nice moves. But if there's no news or catalyst to get back up there, it's just going to kind of chip away at it, I would think. Um, but yeah, it looks like we kind of broke out of that downwards channel. If you're just looking at it pretty much from a range perspective, if I was to get rid of this real quick and draw this from a range perspective, we're pretty much stuck here, right? Trading between 162, so where that kind of low is, 162, 163 to 249. Again, this is a daily range, so it's going to be a little larger. If we're looking, where price is at right now too, it looks like there's a nice little formation here, making higher lows. So it is in an uptrend, right? And it looks like, I mean, if it can kind of clear this area here, if it kind of pushes through, there could be some nice upside there. So ultimately, I mean, I think I'd be pretty bullish on Netflix. For confirmation of a breakout though, and maybe a daily close above a certain area, I'd be looking at, let's see. So it looks like, I mean, prices ultimately struggled to close above this previous high here. It looks like it's just kind of sitting right below it right now.
Right.
But price can, make that move up right there. That's where I'd probably flip bullish on Netflix, and ultimately, I guess, target up here. I mean, through this candle, I mean, it could probably make a pretty significant move. And like I said, I mean, I think that's going to be either news driven or something else. I mean, to make a huge move like that to fill that gap, I think you need a pretty nice headline there.
Definitely.
Um,
I'd be in agreement with you on that. What about downside? What would you need to see to start thinking more bearish here?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So a market shift in structure there. So again, you're making the higher lows, right? So we know we're in
Right.
an uptrend. Just as simple as making a lower low there and coming down. Closing a daily candle below that trend line would probably make me short Netflix. Ultimately, if you were to target, I guess, lower areas. So it looks like there's. Sorry, let me draw this horizontally a little better here. Looks like there's some confluence with this 211.50 area, 211.50 that is. It looks like price is balanced at it. So again, you can be looking for a trend line break. So if you're just going on your daily time frame, drawing this out, trend line break to the downside. So price breaking that structure there, coming to the downside. You could target 211.50, and then ultimately, if price is not able to hold 211.50, you could target some lower areas as well. And maybe just some other areas of confluence in here. Let me see. This area looks pretty nice in there. 202. You guys probably know how to just draw support and resistance. I mean, just simple things. But yeah, I mean, that's the overall idea with Netflix in there. I can kind of look at a lower time frame as well, because I want to kind of look in this pattern and see what's going on.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, it looks like it's about to make a decision. It looks like it's getting quite close.
Yeah, it is definitely. So to illustrate, see this area where price can't, yeah. So now that we're moving into these lower time frames, so you guys see this area 230.75 where price is kind of struggling to close above. You see how there's a wick above. So there's like in buy side right there. So this you can mark it as buy side, and then obviously down here sell side. Taking buy side, but price is ultimately not able to close above it just yet on the 4 hour at least. So you want to see it close above it to target this imbalance in here. And yeah, ultimately, I mean, you could ride it up to hopefully 250. I mean, if it gives you that whole move, that would be a pretty crazy move, to be honest. But yeah, just simple, same thing. I mean, drawing, the trend line here, seeing that price is making higher lows and in an uptrend. So yeah, I mean, I'd say I'm pretty bullish on Netflix if it can break above that 230.75 area. Let me move on to a lower time frame to another lower one. Looks like I had some supply in here too on Netflix. Looks like it broke through some of those areas. Let's see. Yeah, it gapped up through one of them. It looks like though, so yeah, guys, to explain supply and demand too, I mean, as I said earlier, as price tests, there's certain areas, if it, kind of comes in and retests it again, it's going to become weaker. Same, illustration there for demand. But you can see like here off the supply area, Netflix came in at rejected, right? And then here as well, right? So you have some supply up here. Netflix tested here, rejection. Netflix tested up here, rejection. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely an interesting pattern here. I'm gonna say it looks just like a wedge, pretty much a wedge here on Netflix. So like here's your wedge. Let's see, I could probably illustrate that there, and then take this. That's pretty choppy action up there up top. But yeah, I mean, definitely a wedge here. I mean, now that I'm looking at it on a lower time frame, it doesn't look so hot.
It doesn't look as good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks
So
extended.
honestly, yeah, it looks extended, like you're saying. It definitely does. I mean, you can see from the
It's a
bottom there.
distribution. It looks like a kind of a distribution pattern, huh?
Yeah, I'm honestly seeing that. But yeah, ultimately, if price is able to break that trend line to the downside, I'd say an ultimate target could be down here, right at that 211.50. I mean, obviously, scale profits if you're going to take it on the short side as it goes, but ultimate target could be 211.50 on that one. Yeah. And then, I mean, if it does break to the upside though, because obviously sometimes these patterns do break to the upside, keep that on watch as well. That 230.75 area, you want to see it close above there.
Right.
So, and I would look at the larger time frame too.
Awesome. Right on. Awesome. Well, if you guys are just joining us, we are hanging out with Fortune Options, and we've got a crazy deal just for this show, 65% off. It's only available until the show is over. So we've got about 30 minutes that is going to be available. 65% off, 2-week free trial. If you've been waiting to become a TrendSpider customer, now is the time. Pull the trigger. We're going to keep moving, and we're going to check out AMD next.
AMD. Ooh. I had a nice trade on AMD beforehand at Supply Zone. Wow, look at this move already. So I mean, I look at some of these names. Like I said, guys, I will trade them if price is slowing down with SPX and SPY. If I can't find anything, or I'm just simply looking to trade something else. But yeah, it looks like AMD. So let's look at the 2-hour frame here. I guess first we can start with just had a typical symmetrical kind of triangle down here. Price making the higher lows and ultimately breaking out of that trend. Which is nice to see. And it looks like honestly too, completely ripping through supply as well, and ultimately filling a gap up here. So, price came and filled that gap up there. Let's see where it's at now, though. I mean, this could look overextended a bit here. You had the chips bill, right? I mean, and all that it go on. But I do see an interesting trend here as well. I'll point out. So let me remove this and point out, I guess, a price channel. I think I see in here. Let's see. It does look overextended. Let me see if I can draw this out a certain way in here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to draw that out. Hold on. Let me see. Let me get rid of this real quick again and try to draw that a different way. All right. Yeah. I mean, I think I can work with this. It's not going to be exactly pinpoint there. I mean, I could try to make that exact. But it looks like you got a nice channel here on AMD too, on the 2 hour. I'm sure you can find this on the 1 hour too, and maybe even the 30-minute. So I would say it's a little bit overextended there. Let's see if there's any, I can move on to the higher timeframes and let's see if there's any supply and demand. Let me do that as well. But I want to point out that 2 hour channel there and ultimately it breaking out of that pattern down there with the chip spill as well. I mean, you guys see that in the news and whatnot with Pelosi as well, you know, with that NVIDIA, you guys get all that. Let me look at the hourly or the daily here. Looks like we do have some supply though here. So ultimately, it looks like AMD is actually coming up into some supply in here. Again, right? So you have your rally, your base, and then your move down right there. So, you know, the origin of the move is sitting up here from that last move down. So price has already retraced all the way back to it. And it looks like it actually got into it and started rejecting just a bit in there. But I can give you those zones as well. So that's going to be 106.25 if you want to round up there. And then let's see here as well, 104.25. So I'd say a two point range there, where there could be, you know, some sell orders in there. So just keep that in mind. If it is ultimately able to break above that, sorry, if it is, you can look at 109.50. So if you can clear those highs there, let's see, even then, that might not even be that great either, because there could be some supply sitting in here as well. Yeah, honestly, that's not the greatest area either. I mean, maybe you could catch a point or two.
Yeah, it's a tough place to take a long for sure.
Yeah,
I
honestly,
agree.
I'd probably be looking to short this, if I'm being honest.
Yep.
It has been making higher lows. I mean, you guys know it's in an uptrend. Just on, you know, kind of this daily time frame coming off the lows there. You know, not the whole year, but it is in that uptrend. Just pointing that out. But yeah, if it comes into this supply, I would definitely want to see how price reacts. So typically for a supply zone, you're not just going to want to enter just based off of a move like that. So like say if AMD, you know, comes into this range, say Friday or Monday or Tuesday, you're not just going to want to enter right away just because it's in the zone, right? You want to make sure that there's sell orders coming in. You want to make sure that price is being pushed back down. You don't just want to blindly enter in there. And you're ultimately going to want to go to your lower time frames and look for that confirmation. So like say if you're, you know, looking intraday and you see that AMD is, you know, not able to break a certain area in this supply zone, and then it's ultimately getting hammered back down, that's when you'd probably want to enter. But you want to make sure that there's, you know, those sell orders in there. And then if there's not, you know, that's when price can break out and, you know, head higher.
Right.
But yeah, I'd say it looks overextended. I mean, I can point out something else though too here. It looks like, I mean, maybe an inverse head and shoulders, right? So you got like your left shoulder. If I'm to draw this, you know, just with price, right? You got your left shoulder here. I'd say your head down here, your right shoulder, and then, you know, that move up like that. That it kind of broke out from already. So your neckline being, you know, this area, you get kind of got that head and shoulders look, or inverse head and shoulders. But yeah, I mean, I'd say if it's able to clear that supply, you could see a 109.5. But I'd really be waiting for price to break out of that 106.25 area.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Let's keep moving. Apple. We are just staying in the trend here. Big tech.
Yeah, I like it though too. Wow, Apple.
So strong.
Yeah,
So strong.
A strong one. Let's point out some areas here. I mean, Apple, it definitely does look strong. Does it look overextended? Yes, I would say that too as well. But if we're looking at this recent down move here, let's kind of line up some fibs here. So again, guys, taking my fib retracement tool, drawing from the swing high and then basing it at the swing low. And it's just of this move, I'm not taking the origin from over here, but it looks like Apple has already actually kind of broke out from that area as well, which is also interesting. If we're to go off zones in here too, Apple does look like it has, I'll draw this kind of from a different area because it looks a little bit better. But Apple definitely does have some supply sitting in here. So this is going to be crucial for Apple, right? So this setup, I mean, looks similar, I guess, to AMD in a sense on that daily time frame, right? It's coming off its lows, and it's coming right back into supply. But yeah, I mean, look at in here, guys. Price, is clearly showing that it couldn't break that area. So again, it's going to be real interesting to see if Apple can, and I'm going to mark these two so you guys, if you want to like screenshot or something, hold on. Maybe it won't let me do it. I'll take out the zone and then mark them because that'll make it clear. But let's see here. So this is going to be your zone on Apple in here. So 1634 through 17105 if you want to round up. It looks like Apple honestly came just a little bit near it. But if Apple's ultimately able to push into there, I would definitely make sure, you're watching price in there. And if you're going to play it as a supply zone, ultimately, seeing the same thing that I was mentioning on AMD, that price is rejecting in there if you're going to play it to the downside. For upside though, it looks like we got another zone in there as well. It does look like it has a small gap too, honestly. You seeing that same thing, Jason? I'm seeing a small gap too.
Yeah, it's there. I mean, I'm kind of feeling like if they gain that 171 or so, they're going to go for the highs. They're going to try and get a new all-time high.
Yeah, so the highs, I mean, are in there. Yeah, right in there. I can illustrate that too, just real quick. But
I mean, they could reject it just below, but
that'll be interesting. I mean, I honestly think, yeah, I mean, that'll definitely be interesting. It's already above its 0.618 and 0.5 of that, smaller move, this retracement. I'm not taking it, from up here. I'm just looking at this basis move, just this move here. Yep. But if you're looking at, I mean, I post TrendSpider's, charts a lot too. So if you guys, just look at my Twitter, I did kind of put this up for Apple, right? And I did illustrate its downtrend when it was in it. But it looked like here with Apple, right? So like just simple. I know a lot of people don't like to draw this, and some people, think it's funny to draw it like this. But I think it's, pretty accurate. Just kind of a funnel where price is trading between. But it ultimately broke out of there, and then obviously is heading for that supply. So I do think that area is going to be crucial for Apple. And I do think that needs to be paid attention to because Apple could, if it reverses there, it's likely to take, those indexes with it as well. So Apple's going to be, a very crucial one to watch going into, tomorrow and then even next week, right? And then especially getting into CPI and then after CPI, you need to see where Apple's at there.
100%.
Check out Apple though. Let me see if I have anything on the weekly. Weekly, I mean, you can point out some simple things too here with just higher lows, right? It ultimately came down and broke through there, but it is obviously above it again. So if we were to point out, an illustration like this, it's back above, right? So it did break down from its higher lows, and then ultimately is pushing back above. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting chart. I mean, it definitely is. Let me see too here on the monthly or weekly, sorry. If we draw this retracement, let me see. Yeah, still above. I mean, still above. So I think that's interesting. SPY's not even above its 0.5 and 0.618, and Apple is.
No, Apple is a few steps ahead of everyone, really.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. That is interesting. Definitely forming some multi-demand too on Apple down there. I mean, that's clear as day that there is some multi-demand forming. I mean, that's a huge move off of that area.
Yep.
So if price ultimately comes down and tests it again, you could probably expect a bounce in here, right? I guess you could say too, I mean, there's maybe some monthly supply sitting up in here where price currently is trying to test, but yeah, I mean, it might be honestly stuck in a range too if it's not able to break through some of those areas on the monthly.
Yep. Cool. Right on. Let's keep moving. Next round is Amazon.
Amazon. Oh, I got a cool channel to point out on Amazon. You guys will like this. I did post this one up too on, hopefully I didn't delete it. Oh, I didn't. Sweet. Let me just get rid of this little, Hold on, I gotta move the channel real quick. All right. So yeah, I did post this one on Twitter. For those of you, I mean, that follow me, you would have seen it. But yeah, so I did, point in here that Amazon could have been, a crazy buying opportunity, which I mean, seemed to be like it was. But, pretty much coming down on these higher lows on the weekly. So that's always a good thing to see, right? Amazon, not able to break below down there and not ultimately coming up and filling its imbalances. So if we're looking, just at our imbalances, hold on, let me just, I'll mark it with a zone, but it is ultimately coming up and filling its imbalances through here. So this candle, and then this candle above also has an imbalance up in here.
And briefly, can you define imbalance for anybody who's kind of curious about what you mean when you say that?
Yeah, it's just where price inefficiency is, where it could be a magnet for price in the future to come up to that imbalance, just like an area, where there could be, unfilled orders in, or just where price, made a sharp move and has to come back up and kind of retrace that area. But yeah.
So it's essentially just a big move that never saw any sort of consolidation. You just had a big move to the upside, big move to the downside.
Yeah. Exactly. And I pretty much explained that with the fair value gap, just the concept and price action. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it does look like it's filling some of that imbalance on the weekly time frame. And ultimately it did hold down here, which is, I mean, it is a good thing to see. It definitely is. I mean, I definitely wanted to see that hold up as well on that weekly time frame. But let's go look in the daily, maybe see if we get any supply and demand areas. So down here too, this is where on the daily it was sitting. So it looks like I already have it, somewhat marked. It was holding this 102.4 area very well, not able, I mean, this one, I guess, closed below it, but really not able to close below it. You guys can see, just ultimately holding up there on the daily. It does have a big gap to the downside though, so I would take note of that. I would definitely take note of that. And it does look like it's actually reaching into some supply here on the daily and here as well. So you guys can see, right? So you have your drop, base, and then drop again, right? So this is where the supply is coming from, right from the base, where price, ultimately struggled last time, right? So it had its nice drop down, it had had its base out, and then it had its next drop down where that gap was. So it ultimately, with earnings, I think it was, right, it filled that gap and had a very nice day after its earnings report. But if it comes back into here, you need to see how price is going to react for price area to bounce. I mean, I'd be careful playing it, but 132.53, if it can ultimately retrace all the way down there on the daily time frame, maybe if they don't go for the gap fill there, but I would be careful playing that. Just ultimately because it looks a little bit extended off of its lows there. But ultimately, I see how price reacts here. I think that's going to be a crucial area. And I can mark that for you guys as well.
It's crazy. So many pivotal names coming into crucial areas. It's like every single chart.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think that, CPI is going to be extremely important. I mean, you got other economic events, and I'm not, huge on that side. I mostly trade price. So, I don't have, the knowledge to really talk about all that stuff in the macro view. I don't want to, say I can talk about that if I can't, and give false information or, just talk about it in the wrong way. But there's multiple people, that do that very well. But yeah, I mean, I marked that zone for you guys, that supply. So I'd be watching to see if Amazon can push into that 144 to 146 area, and then seeing how price reacts. If it is going to break through, it's definitely got some imbalance to fill to the upside as well.
Perfect. All right, guys, this is the 10-minute warning. You guys have 10 minutes to take advantage of that 65% off deal. So if you are interested in it, hit us up in chat, get the link. It's in the chat. Best deal. And here's a link here too on the QR code. Best deal you're going to find out there. This is the best deal on TrendSpider you're going to find, period. So take advantage of it if you want it. 10 more minutes. Let's keep moving. Dash is the next name here.
Dash was an interesting one that I actually played off the gap fill. Let's point out Dash. So I think I had it. I just want to look back here. Maybe I deleted it. I don't know. But let's see. I'm going to start out, I guess, with the weekly and look where it's at.
It's a heck of a base.
Right. Yes, it is. That's what I was just going to point out too. So if you're just looking here, guys, you can see that Dash is basing out right here, right? Definitely basing out between this 156, ultimately 156 down there, but kind of wicking in this zone here that I have illustrated. So definitely a base there, as Jason just mentioned. You got some supply sitting up here, and then some more supply actually sitting up in there. I won't illustrate that just because this zone should be clear, and even up here as well. You can see where price, came into and then rejected, just right in that area. I'll mark that a little better for you, right in here. But yeah, it looks like Dash. I mean, it's got a nice. I mean, it seems interesting, right? So look, Jason was illustrating too how there's that base, but it looks like this 161. I guess you could call it 161.6, 161.5. If we can get a daily close above that, it looks like, I mean, you could probably go and target this area up in here at sorry, not 85, 85-ish, 85.3. Looks like an area where you could target to the upside if it can ultimately break and hold above 81.6. You guys can see that price has came up there and wicked off of it, right? So it, rejected off of it. And right now, I mean, it looks like we're just trying to get over it. It looks like it struggled just a little bit to try to get over it, but ultimately, if it can break through there, your next target could be 85. After that, I mean, just some simple, support and resistance based off these daily candles. You could probably target 88 and then 93, your ultimate target there to the upside. And then you got your imbalance sitting right in here as well on the daily. So there's your imbalance right there. That price could ultimately come up to fill as well. So I'd say Dash, yeah, Dash is definitely basing out, as Jason mentioned. You can look here as well, if you're to look at another trend, price right here, some divergence too. And if you were looking at it as kind of breaking out from it too, you could draw, a simple, I guess, trend line down like that, right? Oh, didn't mean to do the channel right there. Sorry about that. But yeah, you could draw it, as a simple wedge pattern, right? So price came down, broke out of that wedge, tested that 81.6 area, rejected, came back down to that base again, and then is ultimately just kind of trading sideways, I'd say. But it does look pretty bullish, right? If it's able to close above, I'd look for a daily close there, and then go into your lower time frames and confirm that it can close above 81.6, 81.5. And then ultimately try to target 85, 88, 93, and then some of that imbalance, I guess.
Nice. Right on. All right, let's keep moving. Tesla.
Oh gosh. Tesla. All right, we can point out a very nice price channel here as well with Tesla. So illustrating, hold on, let me clean that up. I started at the wrong area. But Tesla, I mean, it looks, honestly, I mean, it could look like, I mean, some sort of flag, right? Where I would draw that would be the question. That would be tough. I'd have to probably look at supply and demand as well, but it looks like you got some, it's trading sideways here in some sort of flag pattern, right? Which is interesting to note. It does look like you do have some supply sitting up in there though, based off of this weekly move back down. So let me just kind of illustrate that as well. Sorry. Up in here, it does have some supply. So for this to break out, I mean, you're going to need to see a breakout through supply. And that's going to be key. If you're going to target upside on that, you're going to need to see that. And if you're not seeing that, I mean, it's going to get hammered back down. But from the weekly view, Tesla is, I mean, this could have been a breakdown you could have played, right? Just, kind of drawing a trend line and seeing where it broke down from. So this could be an area of confluence, right, with this trend line. So I'll just kind of remove everything I have here and then point to this trend line. So look, so it could be that price, and this is beautiful, right? It's holding this, it was holding the trend line, previously broke down from it, had a pretty nasty move down, back through it again, and then back through it again. And then ultimately, could go and stretch and maybe test this area ultimately if it can. Let's see, I mean, that would probably be in that supply up there. But yeah, it looks like ultimately, I mean, if it can get through here, it could test, some of that supply in that area all through here.
Cool. And that's above, that's around what, $1,000, something like that?
Yeah, around 1,000, 1,100. Yeah. I can illustrate it a lot better. I'm going into the daily here as well and drawing out a zone that price is currently in. Even another move back down right in here as well. So yeah, price might have a little trouble, but yeah, it's the same sort of market, pattern that we've been seeing, right? Prices have been kind of bottoming out, guys. So like you can see with this like kind of U-shaped or cup-shaped, however you want to say it, prices have been bottoming out and ultimately breaking back out to the upside. And I'm just looking at it as, a typical bear market rally. But yeah, interpret it however you'd like to. But yeah, it looks like, just a simple wedge breakout, price is a little overextended. Is it having trouble, moving past here? Yeah, it definitely is. You can see that with, price action. And there is that, supply there. So you need to make sure, price can ultimately break above these two zones before heading higher.
Got it. Awesome. Let's keep moving. Meta.
Meta. We traded that one today. Let's look at Meta though. Meta, let me adjust this channel for you guys, but I already got it. So I'm coming prepared for most of these names here, which is awesome to see. Meta, you got a price channel here. Parallel channel, price channel, same thing you call it. But let's see, I'll draw it from down here. That looks a little better. But yeah, Meta, so you got it on the daily time frame in a price channel. So, just kind of just range trading here. And ultimately, I mean, if it is going to break out, let's kind of mark some gaps. We do have a huge gap on Meta that is going to probably need to be filled sometime. Same thing with Netflix, like I've already explained too, but like this is just a huge gap, right? So you're going to need either an earnings or some sort of headline to move it, eventually up into there. But Meta looks like it's bottomed out too, right? So another one of these names that, again, for the time being, I'm saying bottomed out. I did previously state that I think we get another leg lower, but for the time being, it looks like a lot of these names have bottomed out, right? So Meta, looks like it would have been a good buying opportunity every time price was retesting this 155.4 area, 155.5, 155.4, same sort of area. It looks like it's also kind of just stuck between a range, right? So here you go, 1726. Seems like it's causing Meta some problems there. Just ultimately stuck in a range. Price did break out of it, but wasn't able to, ultimately hold. So I would make sure, after seeing that, I would definitely make sure price is able to hold above that if you're going to go long. It does have a gap though to fill to the upside as well on the daily in here. So keep that on watch as well. It looks like it's about, let me zoom in here. It looks like it's about from 175.6 to about 178.9 is that gap for Meta as well. So I would make sure it can break and hold above there. So last time it did that though, it did make that nasty move back down. So I'd just be careful and make sure it can, definitely hold above that area. But you could target a gap fill, right, if it is able to break and hold above this 172.6 area. So this is just all areas of confluence where price is rejecting from.
Right. Cool. Right on. Well, so we are at the 2-minute warning here. Let's do one more and then we'll jump out. So the last one is Disney.
I'll try to get this done in 2. All right, Disney again. I mean, a lot of these names I do look at. Don't think I'm not looking at them, but I do have this one illustrated already too. So it looks like price is broken out of its channel. So this is just again a downwards channel, downtrend. Price is broken out from it. But where could Disney head next here? So if I'm to take away this channel, so again, just kind of visualize this channel. It's already there. But let's look here. It looks like Disney might have some trouble here. You could draw this maybe as honestly, let me draw this as a wedge of some sort here. So higher lows, right? You guys know the trend, higher lows, uptrend right there. And then ultimately, it looks like it's going to have some, it looks like it's got a little wedge here that is forming, drawing it from this wick here on the June 29th candle, and then from the bottom here on the July 4th. But price is trading in some sort of wedge here. Let's see if we got any, you can't really tell with the supply and demand in there. Maybe just marking that up as, I guess, a general area to watch for. So it looks like some confluence in there, which price is already above. And then let's see these candles. This one, I'm going to take it from here, honestly. But yeah, so we're trading, it looks like between 106.9 and potentially 112.85. So where that high is, looks like price is trading in this trend though. So looks like a nice little wedge here. So ultimately, if it can, kind of just make a little pattern like this, like where it, comes down and then maybe goes up here, something like that. And then ultimately say if it breaks above, don't chase the move, but obviously, you can try to trade a breakout with it, or, if it comes down here and breaks below, you can target that lower area. But yeah, mainly I would point out, this trend on this trend here, this pattern is what I'm definitely interested for Disney. And then ultimately this zone. So making sure price, if you're going to play upside, can reach up to that 12.85. And then if you're going to, keep playing upside, making sure it can clear it, right? And then for downside, it looks like, if price can kind of break this area of confluence in here around, what do you got there, 106.9, that price could ultimately fall back down again. It does look like you do have some smaller demand though on the daily down there as well, where it kind of bounced from. So like, if you guys are looking at, the move, why is it, let's see. All right, there it is. But yeah, I'll highlight that in green too. But yeah, so it, kind of had that rally, its base, and then that other rally. So ultimately, price could retrace back down into the demand and then bounce again. But then again, it would kind of be breaking its trend down there, which would also be interesting to see. But if price ultimately came back into that demand and did bounce, you could play an upside bounce off of that. Again, you'd have to wait for confirmation of, price moving back up and obviously bouncing from that zone to play it, right? So if price comes in and it's delivered into there and ultimately, there's no bounce in that area. And say if you took buys and it didn't hold it, you get hurt pretty bad, right? You want to make sure that price is going to hold that area.
For sure. Right on, Fortune. Well, this has been awesome, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us tonight and kind of give us a little bit of insight into how you see these charts. Where can all of the fine folks who are watching find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter. I would like some more free time to be able to get a YouTube channel up. I do have a YouTube channel. It's just that, guys, I'm live from 9:30 to 4. So a big chunk of my day is taken out there. I do obviously have the nighttime as well, but you got to consider I'm definitely, a little tired after the trading day. But yeah, Twitter at Fortune Options, YouTube, I do have an account. It's just that, I haven't shared videos yet because I got to find the time for it. And I know that sounds, pretty weak to say, saying that I can't find the time for it, which I definitely could. It's just that, I got to get in the habit of, using YouTube and then ultimately, editing videos and stuff like that. But yeah, I do have a Discord as well. It's just a free chat if you guys want to, look in there. You guys can check it all out. But yeah, if you want to find me at Fortune Options on Twitter, I post, beautiful, I'd say to myself, beautiful charts on the daily. So, if you guys are looking for, something to look at beautiful charts, I post, a handful of different names. So, yeah.
Right on, Fortune. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the evening to hang out with us, and thank you to everybody who's watching. We really appreciate you guys being here. We are done with our stuff for the week, but we are going to be back next week as we always are. Monday and Wednesday, I'm going to be live 2:30 to 4:30 Eastern on YouTube, just talking shop, talking about TrendSpider, taking chart requests, answering questions, all that good stuff. Next Tuesday, we've got a Twitter Spaces, 8 p.m. Eastern time. That's going to be a chart or a trade idea space. We got cauliflower calls. We've got iBot 404 and a couple other traders. Thursday next week, we're here with Jack from Alpha Charts, Alpha 365. Is that right? Alpha Charts 365. Jack is going to be on doing this show next Thursday. So a whole slew of activities to come hang out on YouTube and Twitter with your friends at TrendSpider. So again, thank you, Fortune, for being here with us. Thank you for everybody tuning in. This is your very, very last call to take advantage of that 65% discount. Hit us up in the chat if you want it. Have a great rest of your week. Trade them well tomorrow. Clearly, we're coming into some really important areas on a lot of these major names. So be prepared. And yeah, we'll see you guys top of the week next week for everything that we're doing. So have a great one. We'll see you soon. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jason, and the TrendSpider team for allowing me to do this as well. And then thank you for everyone for tuning in. Appreciate everyone.
Absolutely, man. Great to have you. We'll have you back.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. Have a good one, guys.